There it is. Woo, there it is. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We're getting ourselves together over here on Instagram, over here on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter or X. I'm just not old enough to switch yet. I'm not old enough to make that switch to whatever we doing now over there on that platform. Well, good morning. I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and laced up legislator for the House of Delegates, 93rd District. Hey, we are up and at it. I was just looking at the live stream because at the beginning of the year, I set up the stream for the entire year, and we only have like two left. We only have like two left. I know that just as a heads up to everybody that my last live for the year will be December 7th, whatever day that is. So just putting that on your calendars. We're going to take some time to get ourselves together and do all the things. So speaking of which, today, I wanted to take some time to kind of like roll through what now what. We are a week and 2 days past the election, and I know for many of you, you go out and you vote and you do that thing, and then you're like, and then what happens? So today we'll take some time asking, then what happens? If you have any community events, go ahead and drop them in the comments so that I can share them at 7:25. We share all the events and things that you have going on. So or if there's something that you want people to be made aware of, a resource, this time is your time. I know that I do most of the talking, but really this is an opportunity for us to share space. 30 minutes of space. You give me what you got. I give back to you what I got. And then we give to the people all the things that we got. Okay. So timeline as you guys think about getting engaged, and there's some opportunities maybe for you guys to come to the Capitol and share space with us. So Tuesday, what happened on Tuesday was we elected the entire state legislature. So that is really big. If you went out and you voted on Tuesday, just know you were a part of this process of selecting every single person that is able to do lawmaking in the entire Commonwealth of Virginia on Tuesday. That's a big freaking deal. I'm gonna give it up for y'all. If I had sound effects, I would do that. That you were a part of that. What that means is what I want to give some perspective to that only 0.002% of people are able to be lawmakers in the Commonwealth of Virginia, right? We have about 8.5 million people in the Commonwealth, and only 0.002% of those people have the opportunity to be legislators. So again, I say this, I do not take this lightly. With $100, I do not take it lightly. So we elected the entire legislature. What's happening now is because there was such a large turnover, 1/3 of the General Assembly is new because we did that thing called redistricting. And some of you guys may have been to the redistricting webinar and seen all that. Good morning, Mr. Little. You've been to the redistricting webinar. That means that there's a huge chunk of people that this is their first time in the state legislature doing work. So this week, I think today, tomorrow, maybe yesterday, today, and tomorrow, those brand new people are going up to Richmond and they're getting training on, how we get process started, because I have a deadline already. And this is for you all to know. And if you have any ideas, now is the time. If you have any legislative ideas, anything, like ASAP is the time to start getting into us. But I have a November 30th deadline to file as many of the pieces of law that I want to be, and as many bills that I want to bring into the General Assembly. So November 30th, that's the cutoff date. So my mind and my team's mind is getting ready to make sure that we have everything in for the November 30th cutoff date. On top of that, which is for you all too, is that even if I say, hey, my plate is full, because the way I look at legislation is I'm not going to carry nothing that I'm not going to work my ass off to lobby to make sure that I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to carry so much that I can't give every single bill the time, care, and attention that it needs to get it worked. So what I mean by working a bill, because I know that, like, what do you mean working a bill? What does that mean? So when I choose a piece of legislation, right? So let's say, for example, I have legislation on false documents. That's one that I brought and keep bringing, and we're going to keep bringing until they get it right. So I have this legislation, this piece of bill that I want to bring forth on false documents. I have to get that bill drafted. By drafted, that means I got to send it to the smart people up there that speak legalese that can turn it into a piece of the code. I have to get that bill drafted. Once that bill's drafted, I need to talk to all kinds of stakeholders. So this summer, we've been reaching out to sheriffs, we've been reaching out to chiefs of police, organizations, all these different people that may be affected by us saying you can't use fake documents in interrogation. On top of that, so that's working the bill first in the community, like working the bill, working it on the outside before I even get up to the legislature. Each bill, y'all, every single bill is going to go to a committee. And so that's why I said this is why it's important. I'm looking, we all know, right, that November 30th is a deadline because I got some work to do from December all the way up until January. Not only do I have to work that bill in the community, I have to go to these things called committees. If you've been to summer school for certified doers, let me wave to all these certified doers up here. Good morning, certified doers, getting up and getting at it. If you've been to one of our summer school for certified doers, all of this makes sense. It's nothing. And if you haven't been, don't worry. Next summer, we're going to have summer school for certified doers and get you in the know. What happens is I have other members of the legislature, right? That I have to also, that are on those committees that will hear my bill before it gets to go to a vote. So I have to work them too, which means my job, because I'm bringing this piece of legislation forth because I said I want to bring it. My job is to work my bill to them and explain it, explain the good, the bad, the ugly, and why I would like their vote on that bill. Because we really don't want any surprises. I like to go into committee with a clear understanding of whether or not my bill is going to pass. Why do I like to do that? Because I like to make sure I talk good shit. If it's not going to pass, I want to make sure that I say the things that it's not going to pass and make it look real bad that you're not passing this bill. If I know that it's going to pass, then I sort of gear what I'm going to say towards how the positive side of things, but I mix it up. So like for me, I just don't want to be caught off guard. That's it. And what that allows me to do when I'm working a bill, so you think about this, you work with somebody and y'all trying to figure out office policy, and in the process, they give you a really good idea to think about while you're building that policy. And that happens. There's some really super wicked smart people up in the General Assembly on these different committees. And sometimes when I talk to them, they'd be like, well, the reason why I cannot support this is because of this. And I don't know if you considered this. And that gives me time to make edits to my bill or anything. So that's what I'm doing, right? This is the work that we're doing over the next couple months. We're reelected. We're still taking care of constituents. That's a thing, y'all. I say this to you all because our office is dealing heavily right now with housing crisis. Resources are limited. So if you all have any housing resources, please drop them in the chat. We need them. We're working really hard to make sure people get taken care of. So constituent services, things about taking care of people, light bills, DMV, DOC. I'm aware of the Greenville problem. We have Greenville prison problem. I am super aware of that. And we have been reaching out to DOC to get some answers on what's happening in Greenville. So if you've written us about it, know that we are in that frame of mind of trying to get them to. So all these other things are happening while we're still getting our bills ready. So James over here, I'm saying to all you guys over here, James. David James Glass says it's frustrating how much power these small committees have to kill a bill. That's why it's important. So what David is saying, David said it's frustrating how the smaller committees can kill a bill. What David is talking about is these subcommittees. So a bill is going to go from a subcommittee, which is a smaller group of people that are going to decide whether it gets to go to a big committee, and that big committee is going to decide whether or not we get to vote on it on the floor. Those smaller committees are so important. They are so important because they will kill some good stuff. They'll kill bad things too, but there's a lot of power. The power is in the subcommittee because that's the first step that a bill takes. And so what David is articulating, if you guys, again, if you didn't go to some school, you need to go to summer school. You need to go to summer school. what David is articulating is a real sentiment of it can be very, very difficult to get your bill out of subcommittee. But David, I assure you, over here, we kind of know. Most times we know what we're walking into, unless we get surprised, right? Unless we get surprised. But there's a lot of power in subcommittees. And here's the thing about all of those committees and stuff. What I will make sure that I do before we go back to session is do a watching the General Assembly 101. I know y'all gonna hold me accountable for that. And my team is probably like, look at her committing to doing yet another thing. I want to do it. Okay, so we're gonna do a watching the General Assembly probably just like a little live of watching the General Assembly, maybe one of these lives before I go back, I'll do that, where I can show you how you can watch a committee happen, how you can watch a subcommittee happen, because you guys can actually tune in. And sometimes it's quite comical. Sometimes it'll make you mad as hell. And I can tell David over here knows sometimes it'll make you mad as hell, but it's really cool to sort of watch that process and watch people present. And watching committees for me was because I went and I sat in before I went to my committees. I sat in on other people presenting in committees because I wasn't sure. Like, I was nervous. I was super nervous. So I watched other people present, and there's a balance between legislators who just show up with stuff people told them to do, and they can't even talk about their stuff. And they ask them a question, you got to tell somebody else to come up and speak. There's a balance between people who have really complicated bills that have brought other stakeholders in that do, and then you can tell the preparedness of people walking into that subcommittee or that committee, but it's hard work. So have an appreciation. I'm just saying, on July 1st, when all those laws come down, there's a huge appreciation for the process by which those pieces of legislation have to go through, especially this last 2 years when we had a mismatch chamber. So we had a Republican House and a Democratic Senate. That means all of those bills made it through both sides of it. This year, it may be a little bit different because on Tuesday, you all worked collectively. And we now have a Democratic Senate and a Democratic House. So that doesn't mean that, I'm just saying this because I wasn't elected then, but I know in 2020, there were a lot of things that we thought were going to happen. Many great things happened that did not happen with a Democratic trifecta. So know that there might be some push and pull because we have a Democratic legislature, but we have a Republican governor who has the right to veto anything that he would like. So by veto, meaning like the bill can go through the subcommittee committee floor on both the House and the Senate side and still go to the governor's desk and not make it nowhere, right? That's the power of the veto is strong, and we don't have a veto proof majority, which means two-thirds of our body has to vote to override a veto, meaning like, F that veto. F that veto. So we don't have the people. So there was a question in the chat from Miss Charlene. She said, to what date will you find out what committees you're on? So I will probably find out what committees I'm on that first or second day of session. I'm not sure because when I came into the legislature, I showed up. One, we were in the minority, right? So that means that the speaker was not a part of our caucus. So for those of you all don't know, history was made. History was made because the Speaker of the House determines where people go on committees. So keep that in mind, that whoever has in charge of the chamber gets to determine who sits on that committees. And typically on those committees, whoever has the majority, they have the majority people on each of those committees, that subcommittee, that large committee. So if your team has control of that chamber, that House or that Senate, then it's less likely, I'm not saying that it'll never happen, that you'll have to worry about a subcommittee getting rid of something really, really, really good because your teammates are there and there's always more of your teammates on that particular committee. So oh, there we go. So what I will say is we will be, if y'all are not, y'all really should tune into the House the first day of session, because we will be electing the first Black speaker in the history of Virginia's Commonwealth. And if you don't know who Don Scott is, you probably need to know who he is. Like, you might want to look him up. His story is just effing phenomenal, right? Like redemption. He is what we say, the fair chance that we want to say that we give people who have been formerly incarcerated. Like, he is living that path. And I'm sure that didn't come without consequence, right? That didn't come without people doubting and things like that. So it takes a certain kind of person, a certain kind of mindset to come from the process or the space that he came from, right? Personal consequence and societal consequences to do what he did. So he will determine who goes on what committee. And I imagine I may know before we start session. I may not know. That's a great question, what committee I serve on. Now, you all can go to lis.virginia.gov, LIS, Legislative Information System. That's what LIS stand for, lis.virginia.gov. And I'm going to say that if you have a particular area of, doing a time check, if you have a particular area of legislation that you feel like you want to get your head into, you can just watch those committees. The House has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's why I mix it up between 12 and 14. That we have 14 standing committees. So if your thing is, food and beverage and all those things, and you want to pay attention to the architectural Chesapeake and natural resources, if you about that money, then you want to be paying attention to the Appropriations Committee. If you're about commerce and energy and labor, then so there are 12 committees that take bills on specific issues. This is why we do these subcommittees, is to dwindle things down. We got a lot of moving parts. Imagine 100 people coming up with, and we haven't even gotten our bill limit. Typically, they provide to us, all right, you can only bring this many bills forth. We don't even know what our bill limit is. Because this year is an even year, we're going into 2024. On even years, we have to approve a full budget. So we have a biannual budget, biannual budget. So we have a biannual budget, and that means that we're getting a brand new budget from the governor to work on. The House is going to make a budget. The Senate is going to make a budget. We're going to all figure out this budget thing. So we're going to be up there for a longer session. So even years are longer sessions. Odd years are shorter sessions. So 60 days or 45 days, those 45 days, we're just making changes to the previous year's budget that we already did. And this is going to be the first budget that we see from our present governor. So it's really going to be interesting to see how we balance this out and get the things that we want. But I currently sit on the committees that I currently serve on are innovation, communications, innovation, and technology, or CTI. And then I serve on privileges and elections committee, which we do all of the confirming or non-confirming of people that are brought forth to serve on the boards, commission, and department, not saying department heads. Pretty much all these things that the governor, people that the governor appoints, secretariats, everything, all of that comes through our committee, as well as any election law, constitutional amendments, and things like that. So I will say, before I get to this question, we're coming down to the last little bit. So if you have a community resource, especially housing resources, y'all, please drop them in the chat. I need them now more than ever. If you have an event or just something you want to share at 7:25, I'll try to exchange that information. So when I go to lis.virginia.gov and I go to standing committees, that's where I'll see all the committees. The question from Heal Before You Hustle, which I love that, period. Heal before you hustle. I'm hustling and I'm still healing. I'm trying to do both, okay? So what I will say is that mental health, it depends on the area by which we're talking about mental health. So sometimes we'll get bills that have to do with mental health and education, right? How we deal with that in the school system. And that is going to go to the education committee. Other times I've seen we had mental health regarding firefighters and police officers and PTSD and things like that. And I believe that went through public safety. So like, it just depends on, there's no, unless we're talking broadly about the mental health sector and mental health providers, then that's going to go through the committee Health, Welfare and Institutions, or HWI, because we're talking about that within the health system. So it really does depend on the area. But what I think will be important too is if you all, I need y'all to get engaged. I think it would be really dope if y'all were like, I love when people are like, I'm supporting House Bill this, and Delegate Glass, I want you to support it because of X, Y, and Z. I love that. I love that, because even if it's one thing that you found that you just have latched onto that's super important to you, like, that's dope. That's dope. Like you're doing great. You're doing great by asking questions. You're doing great by being pioneer. You're doing great by being here. Because we get better at this. We get better at this when there's more people to do the ABCs of governance, right? Do we all remember our ABCs? Do you know our ABCs? If you know the ABCs of governance, drop it in the chat. I want to know if there's any certified doers that know the ABCs, and you could cheat because it's on my website. It's on my website. When we get more people doing the ABCs of governance, then we get better at what we do. At least I'm not going to speak for everyone. I can only speak for my personal self. Same thing, right? I can only speak for myself and my team. With that, I think it's important to share with you all how we're getting prepared. We have just brought on another member to our team. We will be a team of 5. So I'll have me as the delegate, right? I'll have a legislative director. That's a person that is, helping just we're building language, we're building bills, we're connecting dots. I have my chief of staff, which is my right-hand woman that makes sure that like I'm where I need to be, when I need to be, calendar's great, email's great, constituents, anything that I need to know about has happened. I'll have my district director, which is someone that'll be still back here. They'll go back and forth from here in Richmond. They'll be here, but they'll be trying to connect the dots between you all. One thing I really did not like while I was up in Richmond was that when we go up there, you sort of lose clarity of what's happening back at home. And sometimes that can guide the decision-making that I particularly make while I'm up there, or I just want to know. I don't want to walk back into no mess. So the district director is going to help with things that are hyper back to back at home base. And then I have a policy and procedures. I can't think of what it's called. Oh my gosh. That'll be up there, just making sure that we're getting the things that we need to get before to go to committees. And I'll tell you, that comes at a high cost. So when I say our role is to educate, advocate, celebrate, then legislate, I mean that is, I'm building I've made a personal investment of your campaign dollars into building a team that helps me work efficiently. The state gives me about $64,000. Let me do a time check. Yeah, the state gives me about $64,000 to $64,000 to hire a staff. And only one person on my staff is allowed to get health care benefits. I have 2 retired veterans on staff right now, one former veteran, and then one really amazing person that has military family. And so we have to divvy out that $64,000, and then whatever I fundraise, I also pay for it. I'm just telling y'all where y'all money going. And my goal is to have on our website a transparency document so you can see how we're spending campaign dollars. So that is what Most of the dollars went into getting us prepared for the campaign, setting up office, and then making sure that we have the proper people to actually do the job well. We are funded to be an opportunity and not a solution oftentimes. I don't know how I would do it without them. Most people do it with 2 staff. And because we're charged with representing about 84,000 people, you can imagine how painstaking it is. Or if you're like me and you genuinely care for the people in your block, you genuinely, like, every person that calls me, I think they're my neighbor. Okay. If you live in Norfolk, like, you my neighbor, I don't care. You my neighbor. And so when people come through, I want to give them the best quality service. So when I say that, when we're asking for support, when we're asking for financial support or sweat equity. So thank you to all the people the 50 some odd people that volunteered to work with us on election day. Like, you are dope. You are amazing. Thank you. That counts. That's worth something. That is a donation of your time. But for those of you guys who donate to us financially, that's what we're doing. Yeah. And we're showing up super prepared. So my ask of you all this next session, as we roll into the next session, is I want you to think about what matters most to you, right? What is like the thing someone said, heal before you hustle, said mental health. Bye, baby. What is that? Okay. All right. I'll see you. Heal before you hustle said, mental health is their area, is your particular area. I don't know whether it's a woman or man, and I don't want to make any assumptions, but the org says that. Then let's look at what's coming out. And we can, as the bills start populating, they're not populating yet, but that's an opportunity to get more connected to the work we do at the state level. It is so important because if you haven't heard of the Dillon rule, have you heard? Have you heard of the Dillon rule? The Dillon rule says that no locality can do anything without permission from the state, right? Like, the state grants the power to the localities. It's a super important portion of government. And so back to the ABCs, if we're going to do this, especially at the state level, and we're going to do it well, then we have to do the ABCs. We have to have some level of accountability. And when we are doing this, right, when we're doing this back and forth, accountability, that hopefully, if I've got the right mindset, that makes me do my job well. Boldness, unafraid. I will tell you, for those of you guys on those posts that we put the last couple of weeks out for engagement and gaining, those posts on the schools, on the casino, on judges, on goodness, I can't think of what the last one was on. But those posts, we're cataloging that stuff. We're pulling your information, and we'll be reaching out to some of you all, especially in the education posts. I really appreciate all the educators and people on that post that just sort of poured their hearts out because you care so loud. Let's do it. So accountability, boldness, and coalition building. That's an opportunity, and that's what we're doing. We're doing the seed. We're trying to build a coalition. So when we go up there, you can be the first one to say, don't support that bull, or this is really great, support it. And I love to be able to say, I heard from my community, and in my community, this is what I've been hearing. Will I hear all the things from all the people? Absolutely not. But I hear enough. Vision for Norfolk. There you go. Miss Charlene, that's a certified doer for you. Okay. She's certified, verified. We're going to get the tattoo. Miss Charlene, the last one was for the vision for Norfolk, like vision for your city. Right. And that's where we're at. Like, I envision a Commonwealth where there are very few barriers to having a positive quality of life. Right? For people to be able to, like, that takes some work. So we have to think about what that looks like for us, or at least for me, as I look at my vision for the Commonwealth and my vision for the Commonwealth directed down to the city. I have to know where my city is going, right? What they see, because I don't get to make decisions for the city. I don't, in my role, I want to collaborate with my city in a way that feeds their vision. I want to collaborate with my colleagues at the state level with legislation that feeds the vision, the collective vision that we have for the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that's why values matter, and having control of the legislatures, the different chambers matter, is that we just differ in those ways. So it is going to be work. It is going to be work. So don't forget the ABCs: A, accountability; B, boldness; C, coalition building. Right? That's what we're doing. That's my ask of you, and that should be your demand of me, because you can do that. You my boss. Okay, boss. That should be your demand of me. So we have, I think I said I have 2 or 3 more lives before we're going to shut it down for the year. November, put that November 30th date in the back of your mind. If you have any ideas, because I've drafted bills that I'm probably going to give away to other legislators, right? Because we've got a very large group of people that have joined the General Assembly that may not necessarily know the types of things that they can take on. So if you have any feedback, anything, inundate the office. The website is delegatejackieglass.com. You can connect with us on there, and then all of our contact information is there as well. We are the best of us. We are the best that we're going to get here, right? Like, we are the best. So I urge you to go do great, be great, and educate so that we can advocate and celebrate our small wins. And then I'll get my butt up there and do the legislation piece as best as I can for each and every last one of you. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Anything else? Any other ask? Okay, another ask is I'm looking for a space. Here it is. If you're into biking I'm looking at setting up a date next spring to bike the district, right? This district is new to me. If you feel like you are a good harbinger, or you just like, Jackie, I know this side of town, then I want you to be my tour guide. Be my guide. So we're setting that up for next spring to go and just get around the new district, because it are places that during the election season I was not able to get to, and I owe it to myself and owe it to you to make sure that I know this district like the back of my hand. All right. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm going to see you next Thursday, and hopefully next Thursday you have decided what you want to hone in on when we go up to the General Assembly. The first day of the General Assembly is January 10th. Don't let me lie. Don't let me tell no fibs. It is the second Wednesday. Yes, the second Wednesday of January always is the first day of the General Assembly. I will be up there for 60 days. January 10th, we get to work. As soon as I know something about committees, you will know something about the committees that I will be serving on. As soon as I know any other information, you will know, and I ask you to do the same. So good morning to you, Imperial Customs. Thank you for all that you do too. And I'm grateful to be appreciated. And WASP Age, it's either WASP Age, was Page, or was so many different iterations. Thank you. Let's get it. Thursday is Thanksgiving. You'll be there. Thursday is Thanksgiving. Wyatt. Okay, I had no idea. Thursday, will you be available? I'm not sure. Just Miss Charlene, if you have something that you want for me to do on Thanksgiving, you just got to let me know. I did plan on doing some things, but I understand it's a day of giving. And I have my things about some of these holidays where I'm like, listen, yowzers, yowzers where they came from. All right. Until next time, I'll see you guys next week. I'm Jackie Glass, mama, Navy vet, certified doer, just like you, and the House of Delegates laced up legislator. And the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates 93rd District. I'm still trying to figure out what shoes I'm going to wear the first day. If y'all see some cute sneakers, let me know. It's probably going to be yellow, though. Oh, lastly, Certified Doer Day, March 6th. Certified Doer Day is March 6th. Certified Doer Day. We're going to meet at the Capitol. All right? Certified Doers? Okay. All right. See you guys.